Hello guys and welcome back to EFD, where today we have made a list of 10 players who for whatever reason peaked too soon in their careers. Let's kick it off. 10. Cesc Fabregas. After exploding onto the scene at 16, Fabregas fast developed into one of the most complete midfielders in the Premiership, hitting the heights of his powers in the 2009-2010 season when he scored 15 goals and supplied 13 assists in just 27 league appearances. Since then, he has only reached double figures for goals in the league once, and after a return to his native Barca fizzled out, he is now unfavoured by Chelsea manager Antonio Conte, who prefers the athleticism of Matic and Kante. Fabregas may have been vital to Jose Mourinho's last title win back in 2014-15 with a monstrous return of 18 assists, but at 29 it's going to take an equally big effort to re-establish himself and halt the steady decline that's set in. 9. Robinho. Still only 32 and now playing for Atletico Mineiro, it feels like Brazilian winger Robinho has been around forever, clawing onto what started out as a stellar career. At the tender age of just 15, Pelé handpicked the wiry forward as his natural heir, and Robinho went on to lead Santos to a Brazilian league title, securing a staggering move to Real Madrid for €24 million. During his time at Real, he was their third top goal scorer and second highest assist getter, but despite this, Los Blancos tried to use him as part of their swoop for Cristiano Ronaldo, and it backfired. Awkward. Disillusioned, Robinho ended up at Manchester City, where he actually had a respectable first season, even taking the captain's armband when Richard Dunn was suspended. Who'd have known those two players would be playing in the same team at any point in their career. But his second season was poor, a pattern replicated at AC Milan when he joined in 2010, and since then he hasn't scored double figures in the league and even had a 6-month spell in China, a far cry from the scintillating early 20s of his career. 8. Wayne Rooney. When Wayne Rooney exploded onto the scene as a 16-year-old, it was a shot in the arm for English football. He had strength and swagger that belied his early years, leading Arsene Wenger to describe him as the best talent he'd seen in England since he'd arrived. But it was Alex Ferguson who snapped him up for £25 million, and he's gone on to become Manchester United's second top goal scorer, England's top goal scorer, a Champions League winner and 5-time Premier League champion. Not a bad innings so far. However, at the age of 30, he's struggling to nail down a place in a new-look Manchester United side who seemingly play with more verve and at a high tempo in their captain's absence. Mourinho has tried to shoehorn him in at number 10, while Van Gaal deployed him at 6 and 8, and it's now over 4 seasons since he got 20 in the league. Whilst Wazza has undoubtedly been a great servant for both club and country, it would seem his star is fading. Here's to hoping we're wrong in the coming season. 7. George Best. When Manchester United scout Bob Bishop saw Best for the first time, he immediately rang Matt Busby and said, "I found you a genius," a little like Football Daily with me, a prophecy Best would emphatically fulfil during the first half of his career. He made his debut at 17, and by the time he was 21, he was the centrepiece of an all-conquering United side, scoring 32 goals in 53 appearances in 67-68, including the goal that clinched United the Champions Cup. It was also in 68, at the age of 22, that Best won the Ballon d'Or, beating out Franz Beckenbauer, but it was soon that the decline would set in. During his mid-20s, Best became frustrated with the club's downturning fortunes and even went missing in December 1972 to party in London nightclubs, much like Joe Tomlinson. He was subsequently suspended and transfer listed, and shortly after he announced his retirement for a second time. He eventually left United aged just 27 and played for 11 different clubs, an end unbefitting to one of the game's greats. 6. Fernando Torres. El Niño made his Atletico debut when he was just 17, back when they were in Segunda B. Hard to believe now they're a European powerhouse. 2 years and 1 promotion later, Torres began to hit eye-catching form, scoring 43 goals in just 110 games, all as club captain. Inevitably, this stoked the interest of Europe's elite, and at Liverpool, he secured his status as one of the world's deadliest strikers. He netted 33 in his first 46 appearances for the Anfield club, becoming the first player since Robbie Fowler to score 20 in the league and reaching 50 in club record time. And even though hamstring and knee injuries plagued his later Liverpool career, it wasn't enough to put Chelsea off a £50 million move for the forward, but we all know how that went. 22 league goals in 4 years for Chelsea brought on a battering from the English press, and it wasn't until 6 years later that he hit double figures in the league again, experiencing a small resurgence under old teammate Diego Simeone. With Torres, it seemed to be a case of too much football in too little time. 5. Denilson. Born in Sao Paulo, Brazilian Denilson made his club debut at just 17 in 1994, winning that year's Copa CONMEBOL. Well known for pacey dribbles and a deadly use of feints, the athletic and muscular Denilson was inexplicably sold to Real Betis for a world record £21.5 million. That's more than €40 million in today's money. In his first season at Betis, he scored a miserable 2 goals in 35 appearances, eventually totaling a paltry 13 in 186 league matches for the Andalusians. That's a far cry from 58 and 110 for his hometown club. Clearly the step up to La Liga proved too much for the striker. Defenders knew his right foot was about as useful as a chocolate teapot, making him predictable and easy to mark out of the game. 4 years before his contract ended with the Spaniards, he was offloaded to Bordeaux, making 31 appearances and scoring 3 goals, unless Girondins finished second in Ligue 1. This was to be one of his most productive seasons in Europe. Hard to believe, I know, as the next 6 years saw him ply his trade in Saudi Arabia, Major League Soccer and Brazil before becoming the highest paid Vietnamese Super League player in history. Undoubtedly a talent, the winger still managed to rack up a bizarre 61 caps for the Seleção, but the fact that no club paid a transfer fee for him following his world record move speaks volumes. 4. Javier Saviola. Once the youngest player on Pele's list of the greatest living footballers, it's safe to say Saviola never quite reached the giddy heights many Championship manager fans expected. Nicknamed the Rabbit, Saviola made his debut for River Plate as a 16-year-old, netting 45 goals in 80 appearances. He broke Maradona's record as the youngest player to win the Golden Boot, subsequently picking up the South American Footballer of the Year award in 1999. The £15 million move to Barca didn't seem to unhinge the little forward either, as he netted 70 goals at the Charlie Rezac in his debut season, the joint 4th highest total in La Liga that year. Despite the influx of new managers at the Camp Nou, he stayed consistent over the next 2 years, scoring 13 goals under Antic and 14 under Rijkaard. However, the Argentinian stock plummeted as Samuel Eto'o's rose, resulting in multiple loan deals. In the next 10 years, he played for 6 different clubs, including Real Madrid, Sevilla, Benfica, Malaga, Olympiacos and Verona. He's now back at River Plate, where he started. This Rabbit's career quickly became roadkill. 3. Michael Owen. The last English player to win the Ballon d'Or, Michael Owen features so prominently on our list because if it wasn't for injury, he'd surely be regarded as one of the greats of all time. In his first full season at Liverpool, aged just 18, the lively striker scored an impressive 18 goals, making him joint top goalscorer in the league that year. He would continue in this rich vein of form for Liverpool until he departed, totaling 158 goals in 297 appearances for the Merseyside club. Of his 40 international goals, only 12 came after leaving Anfield, and although he enjoyed relative success in Madrid, his return to England with Newcastle began a downward spiral. In December 2005, he did his metatarsal, halting his league appearances in his first 2 years on Tyneside to a meagre 14. Eventually, recurrent injuries took their toll, and after a semi-productive stint at Manchester United, and a handful of games at Stoke, he was forced to retire at only 33. 2. Adriano. Once nicknamed the Emperor by Inter's Ultras, Adriano is now more likely to be seen posing with gang members than picking up the ball at the back of the net. At 19, he scored 22 goals in 36 appearances for Parma, following a brief stint at Fiorentina where he managed just under a goal every other game. But it was the 2004-2005 season where the powerhouse forward hit his peak, scoring 42 goals in all competitions and earning a huge contract extension. This coincided with a massive drop in work ethic and a Big Mac spree for the Brazilian, who began piling on the pounds. Brazil manager Dunga then dropped him, publicly criticising him for his attitude, and Inter sent Adriano on unpaid leave to native Brazil for the second time as he sought to recover from alcohol addiction and to mourn his father's passing. Eventually, he left Inter, and although he rediscovered a little bit of form with his first club Flamengo, scoring 19 goals on the way to a title, in the next 7 years he would play for 5 clubs, taking extended leave from the game in between each one. We often wonder about El Fenomeno without the knee injuries, but imagine how long the Emperor could have reigned without his temperament. 1. Royston Drenthe. Probably not who you're expecting at a number 1 spot, but when talking about peaks, a big money move, and then a descent into mediocrity, nobody did it quicker than Royston Drenthe. After battling back into the Feyenoord team following disciplinary issues, Drenthe made his mark in the 2006-2007 season and Real Madrid came a-calling. Although Feyenoord rebuffed their first offer, Drenthe threatened legal action if they didn't release him. Realising they could probably do without him, a €14 million move was hammered out and Drenthe featured prominently his first season at Madrid before the development of Marcelo started to limit his options down that left-hand side. Drenthe stormed out of training after being dropped by Bernd Schuster, and he suffered anxiety issues as well, asking to be dropped after he was booed off against Deportivo La Coruña. Ugly scenes. This would signal the end of his moment at the top of European football, as he was loaned out to Hercules and Everton before sliding down the leagues to Reading and Sheffield. He's now plying his trade in the United Arab Emirates. Still, you've always got your rap career to fall back on, Royston? So there are 10 players who peaked too soon, guys. Have we missed anyone out? Let us know in the comments below. And if you enjoyed that video, check out our top 10 deadliest poachers by clicking here. And as always, guys, don't forget to like and subscribe.